All right, buckle up, because today we are diving deep into the world of Zeus. Lightning bolts, Mount Olympus, king of the gods. He's got it all, but there's so much more to the story.
Right, we're going beyond just the name everyone knows.
Yeah.
Because Zeus is power, sure, but his story is also ambition, betrayal, family drama. Actually, some pretty relatable family drama when you get into it.
Oh, we are definitely getting into it, don't you worry. This deep dive, let me tell you, we've got some truly epic material to work with. But before we get to Zeus ruling from Mount Olympus, what about everyone else? I mean, why do these Greek myths still grab us today?
Think of it like this: myths aren't just stories, they're a reflection. The whole Greek pantheon, all their drama, the gods, the monsters, it gives us a glimpse into what ancient Greece was thinking about, what they feared, what they valued.
Like a snapshot, but in stories and legends instead of like a photograph.
Exactly.
So with Zeus, snapshot time, his rise to power was wild. And it all starts with dear old dad.
Cronus. Not exactly winning any Father of the Year awards.
Nope, not when you've got a prophecy saying your own kid's going to overthrow you and you decide, I know, I'll just swallow them whole.
Well, that's what he did. To his other children, that is. But Zeus, he had a different fate, thanks to his mother, Rhea.
Clever lady, saving her son from... Well, what? That? So how'd she pull it off?
It was a classic bait and switch. Rhea hid baby Zeus and instead gave Cronus a stone, all wrapped up like a newborn.
I can only imagine Cronus's reaction later. So where'd they stash Zeus to keep him safe?
Mount Dik, on the island of Crete. It was the perfect hideaway.
Okay, so we've got young Zeus growing up, knowing about his dad's, shall we say, unique parenting style.
Yeah.
I'd be plotting some revenge, too.
Well, he did more than plot. That's where we get to the Titanomachy.
Cue the epic music. This is the big one. Gods versus Titans. Zeus against Cronus. Talk about a family feud.
Oh, it was huge, GE. Imagine a battle for control of everything, the entire universe. And the imagery, the stories we have. The Cyclops forging Zeus's lightning bolts.
And don't forget those 100-handed giants causing mayhem.
Right. It's like the first action movie ever, only it's all myths and legends. And in the end, Zeus and the Olympians, they won. Overthrew the Titans, established their own rule.
But it wasn't over yet, was it? Remember those giants we mentioned?
They were just getting started. They were a whole other level of challenge, part of the Gigantomachy, another epic clash. And this time, it was about more than just Zeus's power. It was about establishing humanity's place, making sure order would win.
Okay, so Zeus has battled his way to the top, overthrown dear old dad. He Aias, the king of the gods now. You'd think, time to relax, enjoy the view from Mount Olympus, right?
You'd think. But Zeus was never one to rest on his laurels, was he?
That's one way to put it. I mean, the guy was famous for his love life, maybe even more famous than for those lightning bolts.
That's saying something.
It really is. We're talking whirlwind romances, disguises, transformations. Honestly, even the most dramatic reality show today couldn't compete. So what's the deal with Zeus and these, let's just say, complicated relationships?
Remember, these myths were trying to explain something. Sure, they're entertaining, but they're also exploring deeper themes. Like Zeus's actions, they get pretty wild. But they were also a way for the ancient Greeks to think about power, desire, infidelity, things that are still relevant today.
Right. They were using these crazy stories to try to understand themselves a little better.
Okay, so let's talk about the results of some of these encounters. Because Zeus, well, he got around, and he fathered a lot of children.
That he did. And I'm not talking about your average kids here either. This was a powerful lineage.
Understatement. These weren't just kids. They were gods and goddesses in their own right. Each one representing something specific, a different skill, a different part of life. Like, look at Athena, goddess of wisdom, strategic thinking. Everyone wants a bit of that, right?
Exactly.
And then there's Ares, the god of war. Apollo, all about music and light and truth. Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. I mean, it's incredible when you think about it, this whole tapestry of human experience.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to Zeus. That's it. That's the point. Zeus's children, they embody everything. Arts, intellect, war, even the underworld. It's like the ancient Greeks were saying, all of this, the good, the bad, all these different parts, that's what makes us human.
Makes you wonder what they'd make of our world today, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got Zeus as this powerful king, this, shall we say, prolific father. But there's another side to him, because he wasn't just handing out godly powers, he was also the one who laid down the law, right? And his punishments, well, let's just say, the god of thunder wasn't known for being lenient. It's kind of mind-blowing, Zeus running around with these legendary love affairs, but also He's the one who decides what's right and wrong for everyone else.
He really did have his hands full, didn't he? But those punishments he handed out, they weren't just about, oh, you made Zeus angry, here's a lightning bolt.
No, there was always a reason, a message behind them, right?
Exactly. It was about maintaining that balance, teaching lessons, especially about hubris, about what happens when ambition goes unchecked. Like take Prometheus, for example.
Right.
Chained to a rock, eagle eating his liver day after day. That wasn't just because he gave fire to humanity, was it?
Oh, that's a good point. Fire. I mean, it represents so much more. Knowledge, progress, even power, when you think about it.
And that's what makes the myth so powerful. Prometheus, he crossed a line. So it makes you wonder, is there such a thing as knowing too much?
It's a question we're still asking ourselves thousands of years later. And then, of course, there's Sisyphus, pushing that boulder up a hill only for it to roll back down for all eternity. Talk about a harsh sentence. What were the Greeks trying to say with that one?
It's all about futility, isn't it? That struggle against the inevitable, against forces you can't control. I mean, even with the gods in charge, some things, you just can't change them. But there's also this sense of, I don't know, perseverance, maybe? Sisyphus never gives up, even though he knows it's hopeless.
It's almost, I don't know, inspiring in a weird way. But I do think it's interesting. Zeus, his punishments, they weren't always about eternal suffering. He could be merciful, too, when the situation called for it.
Oh, absolutely. Look at Persephone. When Hades took her down to the underworld, it was Zeus who stepped in, negotiated her release to make sure the balance was restored.
Right, because if she stayed down there, the world above, it would have been plunged into winter forever. Famine, darkness, it would have been bad. So it's like we see that Zeus, he isn't just this god of storms and power. He's also trying to keep things running smoothly.
He was a force for order, but also for balance. And that's really the key, I think. It's like those ancient stories that are reminding us that true leadership, it means understanding both justice, mercy. Zeus, he wasn't perfect, not by a long shot, but he saw the bigger picture. He made the tough calls. Maybe that's how he managed to stay in charge for so long.
We have covered a lot of ground today, from family drama to epic battles, love affairs, and even some cosmic justice. Safe to say, Zeus was more than just a name on Mount Olympus.
He was the whole package. And, maybe that's why we're still talking about him thousands of years later. He's a reflection of us, our potential for greatness, but also our flaws.
So next time you hear Zeus, don't just think lightning bolts. Think about those deeper themes. Our place in the world, the choices we make, the consequences that come with them, it's all connected. And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of Zeus. Until next time, keep exploring those big questions and keep diving deep.